But gaming related, and particularly Nintendo related, as we brought them up a minute ago, this week there's been lots and lots and lots of Nintendo related news. Not necessarily good for Nintendo, but good for the fans in some degree. This week there has been what is being termed as a Giga leak, which online earlier in the week, someone anonymously put out a load of files, and this is sort of nearly a terabyte of stuff. But what this information is, and they're putting it back to a couple of years ago, there was a hack at Nintendo, and Nintendo didn't know about it for ages. But it wasn't really clear what was stolen, and certain bits and pieces have come out. But this is essentially over a terabyte of information from going back to sort of the early 90s. So you've got things in there like prototypes of Mario Kart. You've got like N64 stuff like Mario 64. You've got a load of Zelda things, Star Fox, and Star Fox 2 was a game that was sort of almost like in folklore again, but was added to the SNES Classic or the SNES Mini, whatever it's called. All the prototype information of that. It is basically a dump of what was on their computers around, those glory days. So for fans, they're absolutely ecstatic about this information because you're seeing characters that would never put in the games. These ones that were left out, and all of this concept artwork and levels and things that sort of weren't necessarily used in the proper releases. You've got demos that were from competitions or exhibitions that were only ever seen, like if you were there. Huge cache of information, but it sits on that the question I'll ask you in a second. It sits on that. Great, the world is seeing all this information, but they're seeing all this information because of someone's broke into the company's data and stolen it. Exactly that. So it's a bit of a grey line. But what I was going to ask you is, how do you feel about this thing? Is it more important that the world sees this information for the fans, or should it be, should these media outlets not be reporting on it because it is theft? You see something on the news where thousands of people, like a company will be hacked and all people's details are stolen. Almost this is the equivalent to this, except the difference is the content, I guess, but same means.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that it's a reflection of the world that we live in today. When you think of sites where you can download movies, TV shows, music, software, you can pretty much download, if you can find it on a site that's, that's what people upload to it. And am I right in thinking it's actually illegal to share rather than to actually download? I think there is an element of the downloading part which is illegal. I'm not encouraging. If I didn't share anything, I'm in the clear. But
don't do it, kids.
Don't do it. But the initial crime is the sharing of it. I think that's the problem.
I think that's the more prosecutable sort of bit as such. You shouldn't be downloading it, but I think it's more. I think they can prosecute people easily if you're almost facilitating it. If you're saying, right, here's this thing and this is available to loads of people, it's more of an issue, I guess.
Yeah. I guess with going back to this stuff that's been leaked this way, is it a benefit to the fans? I mean, like you said, a lot of this is kind of historic nostalgia, really, of older Nintendo stuff. There might be some bits and pieces from newer stuff, but I'm surprised Nintendo haven't done it as another marketing way of going, well, look at this. This could be an additional thing that they throw into other areas. But so will it hurt them as such? Probably not. But at the same time, like you say, it's still a form of theft in some respects.
Yeah.
So,
The interesting thing with this is the level of information that's been leaked. Like, for example, it's in some cases, I believe you've got the full source code, so all the programming code for a particular game, like F-Zero, for example. And in some instances, you've got the full source code, all of the assets, so all of the artwork and everything to go with that particular thing. So it makes it not available. Like you or I wouldn't know how to take that source code and get the game and the assets and put it all together and compile it into a game. There are
but there's
people that
people that
can,
could. Yeah.
and that's what you're seeing at Twitter at the moment. People that are hold that sort of knowledge can extract the information out, and they can see all these screenshots, and they can see, oh well, why is that character in there? Because that wasn't there, and make it into something different, or alternatively recreate these games. There's a project at the moment which is a full HD rendering of Mario 64. So they're rebuilding it from scratch basically. But one of the discoveries was that Luigi was meant to be in Mario 64, but they never put him in there. But all the models exist to put him in there. So hobbyists are now sticking Luigi into Mario 64 because it now can be done.
Yeah.
Which is it for me raises two things. You've got it highlights how a lot of these companies, and this is something that's more come to light recently. Now the games industry is such a big thing. It becomes increasingly aware that a lot of these companies don't really take care of their archives. Like, and the example I read about was a company like, say, Lucasfilm or Marvel or like those big franchises. They have huge archives of stuff. They have props, they have sets, they have the what they filmed for like cutscenes and that. And that's why you see DVD box sets or whatever coming out, and it's like, oh, here's some more footage, or here's an interview, or here's someone like auditioning for the role. You can see all this stuff. Games companies, they never really look after that stuff, and they may do a bit more now because they appreciate it. But a lot of this stuff would potentially, if it wasn't brought to the world, no one would have known it existed, or no one would have had that story of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool. That people can now. A lot of games that particularly with the ROMs and stuff that exist, is technically piracy, but some of these things only exist because some guy who loves Nintendo, who knows how to do these stuff, put it out there or kept it. And there's the historical fact is really important. But the other thing is what has also been unearthed that is less cool is sort of private emails and stuff from the people that used to work there, because it seems like someone's literally just ripped a server and taken it all. And there's internal chat about, oh well, I'm really upset with that. This is me paraphrasing, it's not the exact words, but oh, I'm really upset that I can't believe they won't let us share porn in the office. Some other guy shares much worse stuff, on the internal group. And there's things like that where I think we've talked about it in the past. People are shamed on Twitter for something they've done 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Some of these people could be shamed by something they've done 30 years ago on a private email server, and it's now coming out. So it's, I don't know.
The funny, I always think about this is, and it's the same with the WikiLeaks and things like that. Like, it's got to be intelligent people that know how to get into the background of these systems and find a way in to get all the information. But yet they're really intelligent, but yet they're doing criminal activities. It's just such a weird combo. I always think of criminals as being kind of a bit dumb.
But I think with hackers, they do it because they can. Do you know what? That's when that's the prize. Is that okay?
We got in.
Yeah, exactly that. It's less the thing. In some cases with WikiLeaks and whatever, the Anonymous and those sort of groups were getting information to, I don't know, bring down an organisation or whatever. But with things like this, I think it's more, I could do it.
I guess it's no different.
I got all that information.
Yeah,
Here it
I
is.
guess it's no different to a burglar breaking into a house, and they're in. That's the
It's not,
drive to get in.
or an arsonist. They just want to burn something up. Like
Yeah.
it's it's not necessarily the end result. It's the act of doing it. But
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.